The message arrived on a Tuesday. All screens on Earth lit up with the same strange words coming from space. Dr. Kim stood still, watching as computers turned the alien language into English. People of Earth, you now exist within territory claimed by the Galactic Imperium. Your world has been designated as Tributary Planet 4927. Prepare to receive our emissaries and begin resource extraction within one lunar cycle. Resistance is inadvisable. The room filled with loud voices and fear. Dr. Kim looked at the faces around him. Scientists, military leaders, government officials, all showing the same shock. We need to tell everyone, he said quietly. Within hours, leaders from every country met in an emergency meeting. The room was tense as they viewed images of massive ships at the edge of our solar system. General Park stood up. His face was grim as he pointed to the screen. These ships are bigger than our cities. Their weapons could destroy us without effort. We cannot fight them. Some argued for surrender. Others wanted to try fighting anyway. The debate grew heated until a voice came from the back of the room. Dr. Lee had been quiet until now. She was known for thinking differently than others. Some called her ideas crazy, but they often worked. Now everyone turned to look at her. Then we don't fight, and we don't submit, she said simply. We leave. Silence fell over the room. Leave? President Choi asked. Leave Earth. All of us? That's impossible. Dr. Lee walked to the front of the room. She wasn't tall, but her presence made everyone pay attention. My team has been working on new ship engines that can travel faster than we ever thought possible. We've kept it secret because we weren't sure it would work. She paused. Now it has to work. She showed them plans on her tablet. We can build enough ships to take everyone. We make the aliens think we're preparing to be their servants while we're actually getting ready to leave. General Park frowned. How do we build thousands of ships without them noticing? Underground, Dr. Lee answered. In old mines, in mountain bases, under the oceans. We work day and night. And how do we move billions of people to these ships? Asked another leader. We tell people the truth. We ask them to keep the secret. Humans are good at keeping secrets when our survival depends on it. The room went quiet again as everyone thought about her words. President Choi finally broke the silence. This is insane. Leave the only home humanity has ever known. Where would we even go? Dr. Lee showed star maps. There are many planets that could support human life. Not perfect, but places we could survive and grow. Places outside Imperium territory. The debate lasted hours. People argued, yelled, and some even cried. The idea of leaving Earth behind was almost too much to bear. As night fell, President Choi called for a vote. One by one, world leaders agreed to Dr. Lee's plan. It was desperate, but it was the only plan that gave humanity a chance to remain free. Then it's decided, President Choi said, looking tired. We will appear to submit while secretly preparing to leave. We need a name for this project. Project Diaspora, he said after a moment. May our descendants forgive us for abandoning our home. The next morning, Dr. Lee began work. She gathered the best engineers, scientists, and builders from around the world. Every empty space beneath the Earth's surface became a shipyard. Old missile silos, abandoned mines, underwater bases, all became places where humanity built its escape vessels. On the surface, life appeared to continue normally. Countries began gathering the resources the Imperium demanded. But underground, humanity worked with a shared purpose unlike anything in history. Families were told to prepare, to decide what single bag of possessions they would take. Children were taught that they would grow up among stars, not on Earth. A new education system was created, focused on skills needed for space life and settling new worlds. Dr. Lee barely slept. Each day brought new problems to solve, but also new victories. The ships took shape. The engines worked better than expected. Food production systems, water recycling, artificial gravity, Everything had to work perfectly. 1 month after the message, a smaller alien ship entered Earth orbit. The Imperium's advance team had arrived to begin setting up their rule. Earth welcomed them with false smiles, while beneath the surface, Project Diaspora raced against time. 6 months passed in a blur of activity. Deep under the Earth's surface, humans worked day and night building their escape ships. Old mine shafts became factories. Abandoned subway tunnels housed engine testing facilities. Even the deep ocean floor had construction sites hidden from the watchful eyes above. Dr. Lee barely slept. Dark circles formed under her eyes as she moved from one site to another, checking the new engines that would take humanity to the stars. The technology was experimental, but it worked. Each test made the engines better and faster. "We need to shave off another day from launch preparation," she told her team during one late meeting. The Imperium is getting more suspicious. On the surface, Earth looked normal, or as normal as a planet preparing to become a slave world could look. Huge machines dug into the Earth, pulling out metals and minerals that the aliens demanded. Farms increased food production. Everyone appeared to be following the Imperium's orders. The alien delegation had set up their base in what was once the United Nations building in New York. From there, they sent orders to every country. The administrator, as he called himself, was their leader. He stood nearly 8 feet tall with a hard shell-like body and eyes that never seemed to blink. "Your mining output increased by 15% last month," the administrator said to President Choi during one of their weekly meetings. "This pleases us. We wish only to fulfill our obligations," President Choi answered with his head slightly bowed. The gesture of submission made him sick inside, but it was necessary. "Your species shows appropriate deference," the administrator said. "Unlike the inhabitants of System 2891 who resisted, they no longer exist." Behind the administrator, Major Han, now serving as the president's chief security officer, kept his face blank. But his hand tightened on his clipboard when he heard this casual mention of genocide. The Imperium representatives rarely left their headquarters. When they did, they traveled in sealed vehicles, finding Earth's air distastefully humid. This helped hide the real work happening around the world. The aliens never questioned why so many resources moved between countries. They never wondered why so many people traveled to remote areas. The Imperium's arrogance blinded them. They couldn't imagine that a primitive species could deceive them. One night, Dr. Lee and Major Han met in a secure room deep below an old military base. Maps and charts covered the walls. Both looked exhausted. "The ships are almost ready," Dr. Lee said, pouring black coffee into chipped mugs. "But we have a problem." She pointed to a simulation on her computer screen. "When thousands of ships launch at once, they'll create an energy signature that can be detected from anywhere in the solar system. The Imperium will see us leaving immediately." Major Han frowned. "How much time would we need to get away safely?" "At least 12 hours before they realize what's happening," Dr. Lee answered. "Then we'd be beyond their immediate reach." "Then we need a distraction," Han said. "The biggest distraction in history." Later that week, Han gathered a special team. Unlike the others preparing to leave Earth, these men and women would likely never make it to the ships. They were volunteering for what might be a suicide mission. "We'll create a diversion that draws the Imperium's attention completely away from the launch sites," Han explained. "It needs to be big enough that they focus all their monitoring systems on it." A young scientist raised her hand. "What if we detonate several fusion plants simultaneously? The electromagnetic pulse would disrupt their sensors." "Too destructive to nearby launch sites," Han replied. An older military officer spoke next. "What about a fake attack on their headquarters? Make them think humans are foolishly trying to fight back." The room grew quiet as everyone considered this idea. "They'd respond with overwhelming force," someone said. "Yes," Han agreed. "But they'd be looking in the wrong direction while our ships escape." Dr. Lee, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. "We could combine approaches, trigger worldwide communications and power failures that appear to be a prelude to attack. They'll be watching for missiles and armies while our ships slip away. The planning continued through the night. They would need to time everything perfectly. Any mistake could doom the entire Exodus plan. Meanwhile, the administrator became more demanding. The Imperium wanted more resources, more quickly. They began making surprise inspections of mining operations. During one such visit, they nearly discovered a massive underground shipyard when their sensors detected unusual power usage. Quick thinking by the site manager, who claimed they were testing new mining equipment, barely averted disaster. "They're getting suspicious," President Choi warned during an emergency meeting. "We may need to move up our timetable." Dr. Lee nodded grimly. "The ships aren't all fully tested, but they'll fly. We need to leave within 30 days. As the countdown began, humanity prepared for its greatest deception and its greatest journey. Parents quietly packed single bags for their children. Scientists downloaded the sum of human knowledge into computers. Artists preserved images of Earth's beauty that future generations would only know from pictures. And Major Han's team refined their distraction plan, knowing they would likely never see the stars that would become humanity's new home. The day arrived exactly 1 year after the aliens first contacted Earth. People all over the planet checked their watches and phones. 3:00 p.m. It was time. In thousands of locations, families picked up their single-allowed bags. Children held tight to special toys. Adults carried small items from home: photos, books, seeds for plants from Earth. They walked to secret gathering points, trying to look normal. At exactly 4:00 p.m., Earth's power grids shut down. City by city, country by country, lights went out. Computers stopped. Cars stalled. The world went dark and quiet. The aliens immediately called President Choi. "What is happening?" The administrator demanded. His normally calm voice sounded angry. "We're experiencing a global power failure," President Choi explained. "Maybe solar flares. Our engineers are working on it. Fix it immediately. This disrupts resource collection." "Yes, Administrator. Please remain in your headquarters for safety." As the aliens focused on the power outage, the real plan began. Deep underground, in underwater bases, and in hidden mountain facilities, huge doors slid open. Ships larger than aircraft carriers, built in secret over the past year, powered up their engines. People boarded quickly in their assigned groups. There was no pushing or fighting. Everyone knew what to do. This had been practiced many times. Dr. Lee stood on the main control deck of the largest ship, the Terra Nova. Screens around her showed the boarding progress. "Status report," she demanded. Eastern Asia ships at 95% boarding completion. European sector at 87%. North American group at 91%. Dr. Lee watched the numbers rise. Her hands shook slightly from exhaustion and stress, but her voice remained calm as she gave orders. "Prepare for first wave launch in 30 minutes. In the alien headquarters, the administrator grew more suspicious. Their sensors detected unusual energy readings despite the power outage. "Send scout ships to investigate," he ordered. But Major Han had prepared for this. As part of the distraction plan, small explosions damaged roads leading to the alien headquarters. Communication systems failed in specific patterns, making the aliens think they were under attack. "We are being targeted," the administrator told his team. "Prepare defensive measures." While the aliens prepared for an attack that wasn't coming, the first wave of human ships silently rose from their hiding places. They moved slowly at first, using minimal power to avoid detection. Only when they reached the upper atmosphere did they accelerate. On the Terra Nova, Dr. Lee watched as hundreds of ships joined them in orbit. "Second wave launching now," reported her assistant. "Begin solar flare protocol," Dr. Lee ordered. This was the most critical part of the plan. Months earlier, humans had positioned special satellites near the sun. Now these devices triggered a controlled solar flare, not big enough to harm Earth, but perfect for disrupting sensors and communications. The bright burst of energy from the sun blinded all monitoring systems for nearly an hour. Under this cover, thousands more ships launched. By midnight, the administrator realized something was very wrong. His team couldn't contact any human leaders. Government buildings were empty. "Find the humans," he ordered, sending search teams across the planet. In the presidential office, they found only Major Han, sitting calmly at the desk. "Where is President Choi?" demanded the administrator, his tall frame looming over Han. "Where are your people?" Han smiled slightly. "Gone." "Gone? Impossible." "Where?" "Somewhere you'll never find them," Han replied, pressing a button beneath the desk. Across Earth, thousands of pre-programmed systems activated. Robots moved in factories. Computer systems sent fake communications. Holographic projectors created images of humans going about daily life. "You will explain immediately," the administrator said, his voice now dangerous. "While you watched us dig your metals and grow your food, we built ships," Han explained. "While you thought we were submitting, we were planning our escape. Humanity has left Earth." The administrator's eyes widened. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected mass launches." "Your sensors were blinded by the solar flare. By now, the first ships are passing Jupiter." The administrator rushed to a communication device, calling for immediate pursuit. But Han's team had sabotaged their faster ships. By the time the aliens could launch a proper chase, the human fleet would be too far to catch. "You have doomed yourself and those left behind," the administrator told Han. "We volunteered to stay," Han replied, "to give the others a chance." For 3 days, Han and his team kept the deception going. The automated systems made Earth appear populated while the fleet gained distance. The rear guard knew they wouldn't survive when the Imperium discovered the full extent of the deception. On the Terra Nova, now beyond the orbit of Saturn, Dr. Lee received the final message from Earth. The rear guard had been discovered. The aliens had realized the truth. "Major Han and the others gave their lives so we could escape," she announced to the ship. "Now we must make sure their sacrifice wasn't wasted." As the fleet accelerated toward the stars, people looked back at the shrinking blue dot that was Earth. They were leaving their home forever, but they were leaving as free humans. After 2 months in space, the time came for the human fleet to separate. Each group of ships had a different destination picked by Dr. Lee's team. These were planets far from the Imperium's territory, places the aliens rarely visited. "We must not put all humans in one place," Dr. Lee explained during the final fleet meeting. "If the Imperium finds one colony, others will survive." The captains agreed. In a solemn ceremony, the fleet broke into smaller groups. Some cried as friends and extended families went in different directions. They might never see each other again. Dr. Lee's ship, Colony Ship 117, headed toward a star system 18 light-years from Earth. Thanks to the new engines, the journey would take just under 3 years. During those years in space, people adjusted to their new lives. Children attended school in converted cargo bays. Scientists continued their research. Babies were born, the first humans who would never see Earth. Dr. Lee's son, Jin, was 10 years old when they left Earth. He remembered blue skies and green grass, but these memories grew fuzzy as time passed. His life became the metal corridors of CS-117, the familiar faces of the 5,000 people on board. "Will we ever go back to Earth?" he asked his mother one night. Dr. Lee looked up from her work. She seemed older now, her hair showing strands of gray. "Not in my lifetime. Maybe not in yours. But someday, when we're strong enough, humans might return." 3 years passed. Then one morning, the ship's speakers announced, "Planet approach in 1 hour. All residents to viewing areas." Jin rushed to the largest viewport. Around him, people gathered, talking excitedly. Then the planet came into view. It was blue and green with white clouds swirling across its surface. A moon orbited nearby. The sight was so similar to Earth that some of the older people gasped. "Will the aliens find us here, Mother?" Jin asked, pressing his hand against the cool glass of the viewport. Dr. Lee stood beside him. She ruffled his hair gently. "Not if we're careful, and not if we continue to advance." They named the planet New Home. The landing was difficult. The first year was harder. They faced storms, unfamiliar plants, strange animals. 20 people died before they fully understood which local fruits were poisonous. But humans adapted. They built a settlement beside a wide river. They planted crops using seeds brought from Earth. They mined metals and established factories. Dr. Lee worked constantly, setting up a special communication system she had designed during the journey. It used quantum technology that couldn't be detected by conventional methods. "This will connect us with the other colonies," she explained. "We can share discoveries without the Imperium hearing us." Through this network, they learned how the other human settlements were doing. Some thrived on easier planets. Others struggled with harsher conditions. Each colony developed in its own way. 10 years passed. New Home grew into a proper city. Jin turned 20 and followed his mother into engineering. Together, they worked on technology to hide their colony from space detection. "The Imperium has incredible sensors," Dr. Lee explained. "We need to be invisible." Other colonies focused on different technologies. The settlement on Frost, an ice planet in a distant system, developed powerful energy systems. The colony on Red Mesa created advanced farming methods. The underwater cities of Oceanus built remarkable transportation systems. All these discoveries were shared through Dr. Lee's quantum network. Together, the scattered humans advanced faster than they ever had on Earth. 20 years after landing, Jin stood in the colony's new research center. He was 33 now, a respected engineer. The shy boy from the ship had grown into a confident man with his mother's sharp intelligence. "Test run starting," he announced to his team. They had been working on shield technology that could potentially block Imperium weapons. The test device hummed to life. A drone fired an energy blast similar to alien weapons, based on information from Earth. The shield glowed blue and completely absorbed the blast. People cheered. Jin smiled but remained cautious. "It works for now, but we need to make it stronger." That evening, he walked to his mother's house on the edge of the city. Dr. Lee was older now, her hair completely gray, but her mind remained sharp. She served tea on a porch overlooking fields where earth wheat grew alongside local plants. "We received a message from the Polaris colony today," she told him. "They've developed new sensor technology. They can detect Imperium ships from twice the previous distance." Jin nodded. "With our shields and their sensors, we're getting closer to being able to defend ourselves." "And the children born here have no fear," Dr. Lee said, watching young people play in a nearby park. "They've never known the Imperium. To them, this is simply home." As night fell, 2 moons rose over New Home. Jin looked up at the unfamiliar stars. Somewhere out there, the Imperium still searched for the humans who had escaped. Somewhere, Earth continued its lonely orbit around the sun, empty of the people who had evolved there. "We'll be ready if they come," Jin promised quietly. "And someday we'll be strong enough to go back." 50 years passed since humans left Earth. The colony spread across 27 star systems. Each world developed in its own way, but all remained connected through the quantum network. On New Home, the original settlement had grown into a sprawling city of 1 million people. Flying vehicles moved between tall buildings. Farms used advanced methods to grow food. Children born here never knew Earth except from stories and pictures. Jin was now 60 years old, his hair gray like his mother's had been. He led the technology division, creating new inventions that would have seemed like magic back on Earth. His old school friend Min had become Admiral Yoon, commander of New Home's defense fleet. Dr. Lee lived to see her 100th birthday. Though her body weakened, her mind remained sharp. She advised the colony leaders until her final days. When she passed away peacefully in her sleep, all human worlds observed a day of remembrance for the woman who helped save their species. One morning, Admiral Yoon was reviewing fleet reports when an urgent message arrived. The long-range sensors, hidden on the edge of the star system, had detected 3 large ships entering their space. Their energy signatures matched Imperium vessels. "It finally happened," she said quietly. She pressed a communication button. "Jin, they found us." Jin arrived at the command center within minutes. Other leaders followed. They gathered around the main screen, watching the approaching ships. "They'll expect us to be afraid," Yoon said. "They'll expect primitive humans hiding on a backwater planet." Jin nodded. "Instead, they'll find something very different. Over the past 50 years, the human colonies had prepared for this moment. They built powerful ships. They developed weapons and shields that could match the Imperium. More importantly, they created new technologies the aliens had never seen. "Launch the welcome protocol," Admiral Yoon ordered. Across the system, hidden defense platforms activated. A fleet of 20 ships, more advanced than anything Earth could have built, moved into formation. But they did not power weapons. Instead, they arranged themselves in a pattern that was neither threatening nor submissive. The Imperium vessels slowed as they detected the human fleet. They seemed confused by the response. "Open a channel," Admiral Yoon said. The main screen showed an alien face. It was similar to the administrator from Earth, but with different markings. The alien looked surprised to see humans controlling such advanced technology. "This is Admiral Yoon of the United Human Worlds," she said clearly. "We've been expecting you." The alien commander seemed unable to speak at first. Admiral Yoon continued, "Your people found one of our smaller colonies last year. We let them observe from a distance, then leave without making contact. We wanted you to report back what you saw." The commander finally found his voice. "How is this possible? Your species was primitive when we found your homeworld." "That was your mistake," Yoon explained. "When you demanded tribute from Earth, you gave us only 2 choices, submit or flee. By forcing us to flee, you scattered us across the stars. We had to adapt. We had to innovate. We advanced more in 50 years than we might have in 500 on Earth." Jin stepped forward. "We developed technologies you've never seen because we had to survive. Each colony faced different challenges. We shared our solutions. We grew stronger." The alien commander seemed to be receiving messages from his superiors. His posture changed. "The Imperium does not recognize escaped species as equals. Look at your sensor readings," Admiral Yoon replied calmly. "Your ships are currently surrounded by defense platforms your sensors cannot detect. We could destroy your vessels now, but we offer something else. Alliance. As equals." The commander's eyes widened slightly as his instruments finally detected the hidden platforms. "We don't want war," Jin added. "Humanity has always been better at making friends than enemies, but we will not be slaves or tributaries." The communication suddenly cut off. The Imperium ships remained in position, not advancing or retreating. Hours passed in tense waiting. Then a new signal came through. The screen showed a different alien, older, with elaborate markings that indicated high rank. "I am High Counselor Zax of the Imperium Council," the alien said. "We have reviewed your situation and the reports from our commander." Jin and Admiral Yoon exchanged glances. This was unprecedented. The council itself was responding. "Perhaps," the High Counselor continued, "we have misjudged the potential of your species. The Imperium has existed for 10,000 years because it knows when to adapt. We would discuss this alliance you propose." Admiral Yoon smiled slightly. "We welcome the opportunity for peaceful discussion." In the weeks that followed, diplomats from both sides met on a neutral station. The Imperium learned about human innovation. Humans learned about the wider galaxy. Slowly, carefully, trust began to build. One evening, Jin stood on his porch, looking at the stars. He thought about his mother and how she would have enjoyed seeing this day. Humanity was not just surviving. It was thriving and now taking its place among the stars. The Imperium had made a critical error all those years ago. By forcing humans to flee rather than submit, they had created not a defeated enemy, but a worthy new partner in the galaxy. The fear was gone. The running was over. A new chapter was beginning. The end.